Hello and welcome, everybody. The time is now 1:41. I now call this budget workshop back in session. And we left off with multi-use complex and personnel services. Mr. Taylor?
Begin with salaries and wages.
Yeah, the personal services for.
Wait, 160. Wait,
You wanna-
we haven't entered it yet, but, we were thinking, Taylor said we would need someone, at least one more lifeguard, on the off season from about 5 to 8, correct? 4 days out of the week. So, I'm going to go back and enter that, and then a cashier year-round. Would you want it part-time though, or?
Part-time.
Part-time. So I will make that change also, because I did put a cashier, but only from May through September. So I can go back in and change that, and that way they can maybe take payments for parties and things like that. Maybe set certain hours that, this is when they're open and accepting payments and things like that.
And the lifeguard, it's in addition to what you already have, Taylor, or in
Well,
addition to the
Do you
18?
want to add maybe 2 more? We
Two
thought
more.
we'd
Add 2
add
more.
2 more.
For a total of 20 seasonal?
To
Or
budget
20
for it.
lifeguard.
That way we don't run into the issue of not having enough or too few, et cetera, et cetera. Doesn't mean they're all
Working at the
maxing
same
hours.
time.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you had that wiggle room,
Budget.
like when they were out and we didn't have a
Yes.
placement or breaks, that caused
Exactly.
a problem. Okay.
And a lot of times too, some of them can only maybe work weekends
That's
or
right.
something, or,
Mhm.
so it gives you more
Yeah.
room to work with that.
And now we would keep these on staff, right? And so we wouldn't have to go through the expense of the hiring process again. Okay.
And we are gonna change that word from, seasonal.
To,
Part-time.
Yeah, well, maybe we can put part-time
Just put
or,
part-time.
operating or
You're not
operational.
operating, yeah.
okay. And the cashier, one cashier?
Yes.
Do you cross-train your lifeguard? Like if a lifeguard can be a cashier?
Yes.
Okay,
But that way there's one person that's dedicated to the cashier.
correct.
Doesn't necessarily need to be the lifeguard certification, so you wouldn't have to pay for that or anything like that.
Right.
But that way there's one person that's, hey, they know the cashier
Mhm.
back and forth versus rotation around.
Correct.
Taylor, when you have swim meets, do you need an extra cashier to,
An extra cashier.
instead of just the one?
But again, that's why we would cross-train the guards. That way they could work the cashier as well.
It probably would be better. So he's saying we could probably just have your regular cashier, and then one of the lifeguards that's already learned how to do the cash register can be, working
other
that
cashier.
extra cash register.
But do you have 2 cash registers?
We do.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Council, any questions on personnel services? So that number's gonna stay the same, Ms. Vanessa, 71?
Go to
No,
change. Just a little
It'll
bit.
go up a little bit.
Go up.
Yes, I'll work on that.
Okay.
After the meeting and work on that first.
Okay, would we be able to eliminate overtime, or you're gonna keep the 200 just in case, or what?
Just a safety net.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, I can increase some of the revenues, because now that he's going to be open, from 5 to 8, correct? Monday through Thursday, he's gonna be offering swimming lessons and, more aerobics. into
Aerobics, water
the-
polo, things like
So
that.
I can, increase those. I'll look at last season when they were open October through December and see what those revenues were and adjust this year's revenues, because I had just put it to where we were only gonna be offering services from May through, September, so I can maybe add a little bit of revenue maybe to
What do you-
offset that additional expense.
What are you considering as your operating days and hours?
Adjusting from a current Thursday to Sunday 12 to 8 to a Tuesday through Friday 5 to 8 p.m. And then and running until October 31st, the water park running at 12 to 8 as well.
And that's 4 days a week?
It'd be the 6 days a week, closed on Mondays, indoor only Tuesday through Friday, and that'll start on the 27th.
Indoor
because
only.
we go to that Thursday through Sunday where we're or Thursday through and Friday where we're originally open, but the guards are all college level or high school students, so they have school up until 3 o'clock. So you couldn't run that.
It's kind of confusing, all the different.
Yeah, it is.
With
So
the-
we're increasing the time, the
No,
times that we're open?
It wouldn't be an increasing of time. It'd be adjusting from that 8 hours. I mean, it might be in 1 or 2 more hours, but the need for staff wouldn't be as much because
Do you think that's, and this starts what month?
the 27th. So
27th of,
this month,
August.
because schools start back on the 28th.
correct.
So that Thursday and Friday that we're open 12 to 8, we would no longer have that water park open those days. It would be a Saturday, Sunday operation for the water park. But Tuesday through Friday, the indoor pool would be open for lap swimming, water aerobic, Zumba, water polo, and even recreational swim from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. That way you get the people that are coming from school to lap swim or getting off work, and that way you're not running throughout the day and having people and staff there throughout the day when
Nobody's there.
there.
Okay, Taylor, what was the reason for, like, right now during the summer, just opening Thursday through Sunday?
Because of the hours. It'd be 32 hours if you work the guards, 8 hours each day with a 15-person staff. That puts them at 32 hours. They're seasonal employees. You can't work them past
So-
that.
So we should have considered 20,
Even with
or
that,
more.
it still
It would've
would've-
still given-
you kind of push it
but you would have had,
possibly.
wouldn't have had the overtime or the
We
32
ran into a little bit
hour.
overtime, but you had these weekends like the 4th of
Yeah.
July where we were open
That you
Thursday to
required everybody
Tuesday.
on
Yeah,
staff.
which were,
Yeah,
they're
'cause-
high activity weekends.
I think what are we, our pool, what is that,
610 gallon pool, 500, what's
The outdoor or the indoor?
the indoor?
Indoor is 480,000 gallons.
480,000?
What's the average of having, as far as staffing? for
Staffing the indoor.
lifeguards, uh-huh.
You need one deep end, one shallow end. So, and then you can have a rotating one. 3.
Because I spoke to some
Consultants who deal with auditoriums and pools, and their recommendation for the size of pool we have was, as far as staffing, was anywhere between 20 to 30. So
for
are you?
overall at Barrage. Yeah,
So are we good with 20?
I think we are.
Okay, so let me clarify. Tuesday through Friday, indoor only, 5 to 8.
Starting on the 27th.
On the 27th. And then Saturdays and Sundays, the water park, 12 to 8. In addition to the indoor?
In addition to the indoor, yes. It'd be a full operation on Saturday and Sunday, just the indoor. Thursday, or Tuesday through Thursday, or Tuesday through Friday, 12, or 5 to 8, excuse me.
Have you decided like till when, Taylor? Like,
Running through our October 31st season, and then pending what
Yeah.
comes up next.
so till October 31st?
Yes.
For the water park?
For the water park, it'd be Saturday, Sunday, running up until October 31st. Which is the
This,
end
what
of-
you just told us, is everything till October 31st?
Yes. Starting on the 27th.
including an auditorium?
Auditorium, Tuesday through Friday, 5 to 8, including the 12 to 8 hours on Saturday and Sunday.
Is this for up till October 31st, both the auditorium and,
Yep.
Those hours for the,
and
Water park.
will there be any use at all out there?
of the water park,
No. At the NAT,
of the
after
NAT.
October 31st.
That's the hope is to keep the water park open as long as possible, and the NAT as long as possible as well. It's all pending weather, but also the end of our season is technically October 31st by
Correct.
the ordinance that was put in place.
So like November and December and all that,
It comes, if I'm not mistaken, on the ordinance that was passed, our season runs until October 31st. We don't have a plan for October
Well,
31st.
that was the
if I'm-
budget amendment,
budget
and
amendment,
now
excuse me.
this budget though will start us October 1st for
Okay.
November, December and
Then
forward.
The
so
hope is to
then,
keep
Okay.
it running for that,
We
but
would keep running.
yes.
Of course, the water park would be pending weather, and then
Right,
the
I can
indoor pool we can heat, so, but yeah, the operations for water park will go as long as we can,
Okay.
and the natatorium will continue.
Or as
And
long,
of course, earlier when we recessed, we were downstairs for a meeting. And we're gonna be doing, during these winter months in the fall, more meets. We have one that's coming up to us that had some difficulty with other natatoriums, so it's gonna be a great opportunity for us to
Correct.
market ours with the private sector. So that's coming in late October or mid-October, so.
Which is great.
But that's what we're gonna consist of. And then I believe there's another one, kind of similar to the size of that large city meet we had recently. They'll be in December, hopefully, right?
November.
So we're not closing October 31st?
We're not
It's
closing.
not closing, it's just the end of the
It's-
season.
oh, I
It's
thought
the
we
end of
were
the summer
closed.
season.
No, he was
Summer
talking,
season,
he was
yeah,
talking
okay.
about how the
Sorry if
old
there's any
ordinance
confusion,
was.
but that'll
yeah.
be the end of the
I mean,
summer
this se-
operations, and then we'll start a new operating season.
Oh, I
It's
thought-
just
that makes
So
more
what we're-
sense.
That's
what we're
what I was
doing
trying to
right
get
now
at.
is
It's the end of the
clarify-
season.
operations.
Yeah.
So it'll be operating, we'll be moving to a different operating model.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought we were closing. I
No,
said,
no,
okay.
no.
Too,
No.
the way it sounded.
Josh, another thing, I understand that the Corpus team wanted to come and practice here in Alice.
Um,
And instead, they're going to Victoria.
which school? Yeah.
And they're
There's a lot
paying
of Corpus
Victoria,
teams.
they're paying Victoria to go over there every day. And the reason was because somebody told them that they couldn't come because it was closed that time.
Would not be factual. And, I've had a couple of Corpus teams reach out to me, and we've told them that we'll be willing to help them in hosting their practices or even meets.
You already have a fee in place for them?
And
Because
I'm just
I
waiting.
remember that, hearing that
And
they
then
didn't
Fremont
know.
ISD reached out to us about doing water programs as well.
Very
So
good.
we were gonna meet up with a gentleman from over there and get that rolling as well. But no, we didn't,
We haven't.
Because
I'm not
that's what I-
aware of that.
That's
This
what I
is, this is the first
understand.
I'm hearing of.
Was it the ISD or was it a particular
knew-
school?
No,
I
no,
don't
Yeah, that's what I-
I heard that at the swim meet.
Okay.
Ms. Moran, there was a couple of coaches there that mentioned that.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly where they're from, that they were going to
It's-
Victoria.
Because it is even clear
It's
when.
their natatorium where they practice.
The
Yeah.
Corpus schools are in an issue right now with the Corpus Natatorium being
Yeah.
2 months
Yeah.
behind on its
Right.
construction.
On the
So
construction.
they're
Going out
They're
to
currently
Victoria.
scrambling to find teams. It's not just Victoria. I know that some people are using Gold's
Valley.
Gym. They're using the Valley. They're trying to find places.
Well, the point is, they're not coming here.
Yeah.
Have we
And
reached
we're-
out to them?
We have.
Okay.
Taylor,
They
you
chose
need
not
to, we can't lose,
Okay, so we'll make some calls
Make
and
some more
reach out
calls
to
and see if
them.
we
and
can
see
get
what's
lose
going on,
revenues, you
because,
know.
Yeah, we welcome them, especially.
I would
in this
entertain the
different
thought
operating
of
season.
sending a letter, like a formal letter from you, Taylor, like not a directive, but just an idea, just to reach out for revenue. Just a nice little letter stating, we are open for business, because I know the ones that I reached out to, they didn't know we were open for business.
And that's something that we run into a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when you do a Google search of the place and
Right.
it's old information from
Sure.
last December,
Yeah.
and that's what people see. They show up, they're like, oh, well, we thought it was closed.
Right.
It's just because
Yeah.
it's not advertised correctly. And
And I'm glad to hear that you're reaching out to some of the school districts because they have entertained the idea of using our natatorium. So right now, they're in their budget process as well, so it's critical that we try to reach out to them
Correct.
so they can put that in their budgets. Additionally, another source of revenue perhaps is with our DPS and Border Patrol. They do a lot of their scuba diving drills and things like that, underwater, whatever their programs are called. That may be another source of revenue we can tap into. Leave that up to you guys
No
to figure
fire.
out how to contact them.
Fire used it.
Well, and then
so-
of course
Fire.
there's more also promoting that outdoor area, and movies and things like that.
Right.
Taylor said that last movie night out in the corral, even with the sun and everything, came out looking sharp and sounding good, considering all the wind. And you open up that area too for more banner advertisements all along the fence.
I mean, there's a lot of activities that can
Yeah.
It
be.
can be done.
I have a list long that my granddaughters looked up. And they're like movies and,
Yeah.
I was gonna say movies in the park, but
yeah,
But
we
yeah,
already
movies,
have that in
you know,
place.
and my granddaughter looked it up and it was like 8, 10 things that you could
Yeah, there's,
do out here.
yeah, there's
And-
a lot of potential.
and they're
in
from
it, but it
Corpus.
takes time and
Yeah.
it takes
It does.
funding
It
and
takes
things
time
like
to
that.
develop the programs and stuff, but
But if
And
we
that's
have
what my
this
hope is
much
to do.
staff, I would hope that we could utilize it to be creative in creating programs, especially since we are going to be open. We need to put it out there, and we need to utilize, the staff that you do have when you have, and, if they're not at the time busy, then we utilize them to create cool things, you know, to always have something going, like a calendar of events, and then that way it's out there and people make plans to be
We
there.
do have a calendar of.
And work with
events.
your Parks and Rec Board, and also perhaps reach out to the swim team. They're a good source of volunteers as well.
Also, too, going back to the schools, I would like to see when you create pricing that we're fair on, because I know the off-season is going to be a higher, you know, cost to the city, propane-wise. I would like to see that it's priced correctly and not just expecting AISD to foot the bill, but all the school districts to foot the bill that are using it. So that's something that we really need to
We have
pay
received
attention to.
a budget of what our propane costs are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to help us too and allocate and negotiate and work in fees with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something we're going to have to experience here shortly.
Yeah.
December, January, February, those will be the
Those are the
months,
months,
but
yeah.
we'll incorporate that into whatever we agree.
Yeah.
And
Just to be fair, not
One of the
to.
other programs that I'd like to see, and I don't know if this is the place where you would put it in the budget or talk about it in operational, is but to offer, do something for our police and fire and our city employees, you know, and our veterans, do some kind of programs out there, and maybe their you know, something free for them, but, you know, and then a discount price for their family. But for the veteran or police or fire,
And we currently have
Employee.
discounted rates for veterans.
okay.
That's good.
But do something in particular, for
Special
example,
events.
I think Schlitterbahn just recently had something for veterans,
City,
police and fire.
Yeah,
So
Which
let's
those
look
are the
at-
given that we want, you know,
Sure.
to, but
Yeah, that's great.
revenue is the important part here, because we do see a huge 269,687. So we need to look at being creative with making that number smaller and working tirelessly to create events, and, you know, the swim team is amazing at doing and volunteering their time, and, yeah, we need to shrink that number up as much as we can, and that's gonna be by
About the
revenue.
interfund balance? Yes,
Mhm.
okay.
The 269,687.
And we had
Change.
private parties out there.
Yes, ma'am.
We have.
Mm-hmm. Who was the most recent one, Tim?
Uh,
Private party?
Private party.
Was there one yesterday?
We had 2 private parties yesterday, one for the indoor natatorium and one for the outdoor water park for 5 hours.
For 5 hours.
Yes.
And I know swim lessons were a big thing, but given that we weren't open, except starting on Thursdays, we've lost some revenue there. as well.
You were offering swim lessons Monday through...
Monday, we offer from the lessons Monday through Thursday, just from 6 to 8. The 6 to 7 hour is for the beginners class, 7 to 8 is more advanced. So we've been offering those for a couple weeks now.
Okay.
And that's the only times we're open is for those, on those days, right now. Because our main operation hours are those Thursday through Sunday.
Are we working with Real again on their programs? Yes?
I offer aerobics class to them 2 days a week, and
Okay.
they utilize the water park afterwards.
Okay.
So I go in at 11, do a class for them, and then...
So I know they're a pretty consistent, good,
Yes.
good program to have.
And we
Joshua,
probably
what
want to
about
visit
that-
with them.
What about that, this way, that nursing home?
Meridian?
No, La Paloma. Did you hear back from them?
I haven't heard back from them.
You haven't?
They were inquiring about a party, but I haven't heard
Yeah,
back
we
from
had
them.
Meridian, and then at the same time, we had set up, well, we calendared them, La Paloma, we're just waiting for a call back.
It's
Does they need to
tentative.
pay their deposit?
Deposit and paperwork, and we can move forward with them.
That's it, it's a simple lease agreement.
And I know I've talked to you about this too, like the 100+ people. You know, I feel that would be an awesome community thing where if they were going to have 100+ people,
I want to put 100
committee.
years.
hopefully. But like 100+ people, you know, that we could offer some sort of little, because I get so many calls on that. Hey, we want to have a party, 100 and some people. And I'm just like, well, I don't know, call Taylor.
No.
So-
I mean, with that, they have many options with it. They could opt to pay admission. They could rent a party room at $50 an hour, or if they see it's more beneficial to rent privately, they have the option
Yeah.
to do that. We give them the options. It's just I need the
I
contact.
think it's
and
safe to
things
say a
like that.
majority of parties will book the room and then pay admission. When I was working out there this weekend, 5 parties, and I think 4 of them paid admission.
Yeah, and the other thing is a lot of people will show up and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm having a party outside, a little get together." You know,
Yeah.
just I have family coming. We had a family reunion show up the other day and say, "Hey, we're gonna have a family reunion out back." Paid
That's-
admission.
And what
So
do you
that's
charge
admission.
according to the,
Our fee schedule?
no, according to the, how many patients or how many from the nursing home? Or is it, or is it just a
It's per
straight?
person for the
For the admission, or they could, if they reserve it for the hour, they pay the hourly rate regardless of how many people
many,
they're bringing in.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, so if I came to you and said, I have 101 people coming, what are you gonna tell me?
I would say we have the option of renting the party room if it's available. If it's not been booked currently,
How much is a party room?
$50 per hour.
Okay,
And you can opt to pay admission for the kids, the adults, or not at all. It's your choice. It's your party. If they opt to pay the admission for whoever that is, we'll say, I am here for X's party. We'll add them to a tally. At the end of the party, we'll go up to whoever it is. Ma'am, you had X amount of people come to your party. This is your price for admission, and this is your price for the room. Or I'll tell them if it's more beneficial to you, if you would like to do a private rental, we offer those as well. For the indoor, it's $200 per hour. For the water park, it's $500 per hour.
and the admission per person?
Is $8 unless you're a veteran or a senior, where it's at $5, or 2 and under, which is free.
So you're not doing a discounted rate for.
Right,
No,
that's
for
what I was
For
getting
in
at.
volume.
Not a
Like,
volume.
You know,
discount
for,
rate.
I think, is that what you're
Yeah,
trying to
that's-
ask?
We've discussed this before. We don't have one in place currently. Something that, like I said, it's something we can look forward to the future too.
Yeah,
and
because
plan
that's
for
a
next
great
season,
facility
but-
for that.
Yeah, and it's something we can plan for the next season. We're on that tail end of the season for the water park, but it's something
Yeah.
we can look at in the future.
I think that would be just, and if they tell you my party's gonna be 100, well, then that's it. They signed their little contract saying this is, whether they had 50 show up or not, they got the.
That's what they're getting paid for,
Yeah.
but entertaining a discount
Yeah.
rate
But
for
with
that.
that-
the
With a
number.
guaranteed 100, because I know you were concerned about, well, I don't want to say yes to one and no, there's none of that. It's 100 plus and that's it.
You get the discount.
And with that being said, with all due respect, this is a budget meeting. That's more operational.
Yeah, but we're talking numbers, Taylor, and
Yeah,
that,
but-
that contributes to what,
But that
trying to
still goes
get
back
down
to
to this
operation.
270,798.
I know, but-
I understand what you're saying, but we haven't, and
We
we're.
haven't, we don't know what's going on over there.
Right.
That's the
And we just
reason.
know that,
Rely on me and trusting me to.
I
make
know,
sure it's
honey,
from
but that's
possible.
270,798, and sometimes we have to all come together to be creative in ways to make revenue when we're striving to keep something open.
Well, we will
And that's what
definitely-
we're doing.
Yes, ma'am. We'll definitely look at that and discounts for volume. It's something we had done last year, but it wasn't, the way we have it structured this year has been, revenue-wise, has been more successful for us in the last season, unless I'm mistaken. But I can pull the trial balances and we can go back and look at that. But I believe that's why the decision was made, was because last year didn't make as much revenue, and party-wise, as far as what it is this year. This year has
Correct.
been a lot more successful, but we can definitely look at for, let's say, HEB or Palomas and places like that that have a lot of employees or people that want to do a large family reunion, we can revisit that and see what we can do.
Correct.
And we'll compare it to our models and look at what it did last year and see if there's an opportunity there. We'll definitely look at that.
Oh, Taylor, we understand this is a work.
We do understand
budget
that.
workshop. But
But we're
trying
talking
to-
numbers. These are numbers.
We've been here this is our second week, so we know
We're-
it's a budget workshop.
We're on day 5, and we know it's about numbers, hon. Okay. Personnel, any other questions on personnel? So the seasonal wages will go up, correct? Or operational, other wages?
Yeah.
Because those are at 71,936, so
It'll
they
be-
will go up from there.
Yeah, on the new, it'll show lifeguard dash part-time, cashier dash part-time. And that'll save us from the benefit trust fund. That was a big expense last season too, because of the amount of employees, and he and I were not part of that budget cycle on that aspect of it last season. So I forget how it was explained to me, but because of the transfer to the benefit trust fund, those costs were huge because they had allocated so many full-time employees, and that's where you get hit from that fund. This year, by doing it the way we did with the one pool manager, that helps alleviate that cost. And again, this next season start October 1, again, just the one full-time, so that'll help us save on that too, on that expense. Vanessa, unless I'm wrong, right? That's correct? Okay.
Josh, how much of these numbers and actual budget did you take the audit study
From
into
Naismith?
account?
Is that the study? Vanessa, you and I had discussed the Naismith study. Wasn't that the first study
It was
used
just
for the
studied
very
to
first
see if
budget?
there was, a need for,
Mhm.
facility.
And then they actually came up with,
The first.
with a study that included the budget to operate
They
an
actually
auditorium.
did use that to budget the first year in 2015, I believe.
The first budget that there was
But we
set
weren't open.
based on that, but it didn't open.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
my
then-
question is, have you all looked at that again and compare it to the budget you're presenting?
What we were trying to do is just look on what money has actually come in,
Mhm.
you know.
The comparison was from last season.
Yeah.
But it warrants revisiting always, looking at those
Yeah,
things.
it
And I know
does.
Ms. Marshall had provided me a lot of documentation, and the prior pool manager as well had that. So when we're in this process, it definitely looks at, we can check
Yeah.
that out again.
So this study actually does make some recommendations with regards to fees. And again, your fees should be enough to cover your expenses, so that at the end of the day, you have a balanced
We're at least
budget.
balanced.
Mhm.
Right, yeah.
So there are some recommendations in that study. I encourage you to take a
Yes,
look
as the
at it, and maybe it'll.
operations change,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Taylor and I can both look at that and sit down together, just same way we did when we were working on our proposals.
What is that
During the
called, Ms. Bryant?
off-season, we'll
It's
spend a lot of time.
well, I don't know the exact title.
I believe we have it here. with
It was
city
the
clerk.
study, the feasibility
There you go.
study that was done, first of all, to determine whether or not, the feasibility of building an auditorium. And second of all, it actually does a budget in there, recommends fees and budgets in there. And there's other recommendations in there on operating costs.
I'd be curious to see
Yeah.
how we compare to
Yeah.
that. Mhm.
I think also though, did it include the other items that were supposed to be built with the multi-use center?
This one touched on the auditorium, I don't
I
recall
think
seeing
that's
it
why
there.
it was split
Yeah.
initially, because you had leisure pool and then you
Yeah,
had
this
other
deals
things.
mostly with the, yeah. There's a budget in there
Mr.,
that actually shows that even with these figures that we have here, we're within that recommendation of what operating an auditorium would cost.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good to dig up. Might help us. Okay, council, materials and supplies. It's like chemicals always wins.
Okay, so pull this out.
Okay, this repair and maintenance accounts for what?
We have Air Pro Mechanical, Progressive Commercial Aquatics. Look, some materials.
HVAC equipment.
HVAC equipment.
Okay.
It's 5220, correct? I'm sorry, 5240.
Yeah, 5240.
Taylor, what was the Progressive again?
That was for the heater to be officially
Oh, that's right,
fixed.
that heater.
The impeller on the heater.
So in layman's terms, your repair and maintenance supplies would account for, because then we have chemicals at
Mechanical.
12,000.
Yeah,
Mechanical.
it was mechanical.
So,
The engines downstairs and the HVAC.
Engines
Yes, ma'am.
and HVAC. Okay.
This is an appropriate term, right? Your engines down there.
Because that was for the.
And then your operating supplies, if that's engines and HVAC, what's operating supplies?
We have, for instance, canopies. We had purchased 3 canopies, the 10 by 10. Those are the red ones that people can use. They can rent them from us for extra shade. And they can bring their chairs. That was a line item that got on that. Supplies that we used to repair the movie screen. The movie night screen had been vandalized in the years past. We repaired it without having to replace it. So the equipment for that was used. Other things,
For the water polo.
for the water polo. Oh, right. The goals for the water polo. The flotation goals.
Were we ever able to replace that canopy that was at the very top of the slide?
I had in.
We're waiting for a quote.
Yeah.
He did contact the manufacturer who put that in for us. And then we did put in a claim as well, a weather damage claim.
Yeah, that needed to be done.
We're just waiting, unfortunately, for a follow-up, and we'll get on that.
Way too hot up there.
What about these canopies that no one could come up with for rental? What are they? Where are they? What is it? What does it look
Yes,
like?
ma'am, they're red, they're 10 by 10, it's about the size of a small bedroom. And we got them, they fold out, you can anchor them into the ground. And it has like little windows and whatnot, and it's a nice area for shade. And we rent those for 80 an hour?
60.
60.
But no one saw them? No one knew about them?
There's-
No one?
They're advertised on our website and things like that. We've had a couple of rentals of it. It's not been a big hit with people,
I wonder
but
if we could display
Well,
them.
because we need to display it and say,
We don't
rent
see
me.
it. I don't know what it is.
No one knew what it was,
it's
what it
just
looked
we have
like.
those. It's that we have 3 of them, and you don't want to sell them all out in the first few minutes. And
No.
you
I
want
do.
to, but
But-
I do.
You want to, but
I would like
but-
that.
it's not inappropriate wording.
What's
But
wrong with that?
you also don't want to display one and
Well, just
Sell 'em out every time.
Yeah.
to set it up, but, I mean.
Sell them out every time. Do it.
Set one up so we know what it looks like, because
Yeah.
I saw it on the website, canopy, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
we could-
like
what
if you
we'll
get
do-
there and create a
What
nice
we'll do
little.
is we'll set it up and then
Yeah.
take a
put a
picture of
sign
it
that
and
says
then have
rent
it.
me, and then
Yeah.
put it on the website.
Well, and then for shade, people are always
Yes.
asking for more
Because I know
shade.
if I saw something like that, I'd probably say, you know what, I need to rent that like right now. Can I
Like
have
right
it
now, because there's not enough of those shade structures. So
Yeah.
And,
we need to at least have one set up so that they know that they're
And
available for
they're,
rent.
60, is it an hour
It's for a daily rental.
for the day rent?
for the day?
Yeah.
We've kind of
Well, it
talked
should be
about
for an
the
hour.
cost of
Yeah.
that.
We
We've
can-
also explored
Hourly.
and talked about, like we do with the coolers, they have the $10 access fee. Maybe even exploring doing that for the canopies for the public to bring their own in and charge. You know, if they're-
Because
Of course,
we're
we
not
have that-
providing it.
Yeah, and we have a limited space out there, so
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
we kind of don't want everybody coming in with their canopies. and
Right,
it's just
yeah,
not
I'd
enough.
like to have us
But there's
explore
different- we have
renting those
discussed
out.
and- yeah.
Uh-huh. And another opportunity would be, you know, if people want to bring in their, like the lounge umbrella, and we have the 4 picnic tables now
Sure.
in the corral area, we could open up that area, and that's
Yeah.
more, another
It's
charge.
creativity.
Yeah.
Just getting creative. And like these are somewhere, but we don't see them, so they can't make money if they're not
Or,
displayed.
you know, people aren't aware that they're out there. I mean,
Like we talked about earlier, Taylor, you weren't here, but we sat with the previous group and we were talking. Obviously, we're not trying to cut because there's not much to cut. So we're trying to create revenue ideas. Whether it's our place or not, we're not interfering with operational. It's totally ideas of revenue, because at this point we need to make money. The city needs to, and not make money to whatever, but just to run.
To balance- to
so that
balance
we
our
don't
budget.
so that we don't so that we don't have to cut, you know, things that we don't want to. So
other-
that's a good one.
the other thing I noticed on the wearing apparel,
Yes, ma'am.
we don't provide for them to have at least all of them wearing the same color swimsuit, red, that says lifeguard. We should be able to readily identify who the lifeguards are. I know in the past, when we had the 2 other pools, the lifeguards wore either the red or the blue, and it said lifeguard on there. They didn't wear their own swimsuits, and, you know, they need to be, if a child is lost or or someone, they need to be able to identify the lifeguards and go up to those
Don't
lifeguards.
they wear the same thing?
They all don't wear the same
No.
thing. A lot of them wear like the neutral colors, the red, the
But they don't say
gray, or
lifeguard on them.
None of them, not all of them say guard. Some of them wear guard shirts. It's not a requirement we had, but also it was one of those things when we were trying to cut money out of the budget. It was like, is that something that we absolutely have to provide for them?
No, I
Could
think
we
you could just
ask
tell
them
them.
to-
You could ask them
That's
to-
where I was going. I
yeah.
mean,
Well, when we're in such a deficit like
Yeah.
that, I would say it's red. That's your uniform. You know, that's what I do in business. It's black. That's your uniform.
to at least provide,
that's it.
for them to provide
And
their
that was
own
the,
that
that was the
says
decision we
lifeguard.
made when it was like, we're trying to cut money out of the
Yeah.
budget, trying not to spend
I'm with
money
you on that, Taylor.
I do understand, and I wasn't asking that we put monies in there. What
Yeah,
I'm
that-
asking is that we make it
Yes, ma'am. We'll look at a
mandatory that
uniform.
they
Mandatory
wear,
red coloring.
and that
So
says
a T-shirt
lifeguard.
is like $5.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just,
And
Lifeguard.
by the Red Cross standards, it can be
It's
red,
part of-
black, navy, as long as it's one of those neutral colors that are identifiable and have, and you can
Has
put
lifeguard on
yeah.
it.
But going forward, we can stick with red. It's the
Yes.
most visible. You catches
Exactly.
the eye immediately.
And white with a lifeguard or something.
Yeah.
And they, you know.
There might even be a catalog that you
There
might
is.
have, and you
There
can
are.
give it to them and say, you know, you buy it, but here's what we're
Mm-hmm.
recommending as a city of Alice.
Yeah, it'd be part
But
of
they
our
buy it.
procedures.
Okay, minor equipment and small tools, what is that for?
The movie projector, we bought a Blu-ray DVD player. We also bought from Sound Vibrations the speakers. These were all investments for movie night.
And so we anticipate needing $5,000 more for? Since we
On
already
our-
bought those are
Yeah.
already bought?
Yes, they were bought. There it is, movie night fee, 1,500.
What else comes
That
out of there,
warrants
Ms.
being
Terry?
raised.
That's not,
That's all that's been charged, and then I'm gonna take a look at the notes.
I know
to
you
see
probably need to maintain some kind of license to be able to show those
Oh, yes,
movies, right?
ma'am, we do.
That's probably somewhere else, did you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's somewhere.
So that wouldn't be in there.
Subscriptions, that should be in the budget under
Subscriptions.
subscriptions.
So what are
I
we
think it's
anticipating that we need?
600 or 700, it's very inexpensive, and it's for a full year, and you can play whatever DVDs,
Yep.
movie DVDs you
So,
want.
So what do we need
It's an umbrella
$5,000 for?
license.
And it's an
Right.
umbrella, so if the library needed it, they can use it, which they did.
More movies. What do we need $5,000 more for, guys, that we're requesting?
I'm sorry, where's that?
Minor
It's
equipment.
line item 5295.
5295. on
Since
your
we already
side.
bought those things and they're already there, why do we need $5,000 more?
is there-
Ladies, was that put in because of, for minor equipment, small tools for repairs? Is that where, do we need to move it, or?
On my notes, I took it out.
Took it out?
Okay.
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 Now, I know I had requested for the mechanics, because the
That
engines
would be repairs,
downstairs.
no, Josh?
Yes, and
Repairing-
maybe it's just something we need to move to another
That's
line
like,
item.
that's showing me y'all are gonna buy some more small tools.
Purchasing of
some sort.
minor
we're not.
equipment or small
Yeah.
tools.
So we can,
Say the
We can take that
ratchet
out.
brakes to adjust the
Yeah,
the
but-
lane ropes or something like that. It's just one of those.
But a minor equipment, small tools, correct? We
Probably
can
yeah,
move
needs to
because
that.
go
you have
to
repair and maintenance supplies,
Repair
huh?
and maintenance.
You have $12,000 in the other account,
Yes.
so that would be $17,000 if, what
So
we're
then we have
saying.
12 already, so then we can just remove the 5.
The
roller.
5,
That may have been just an error.
okay, thank you.
And if that is above, I think it is, on repair and maintenance supplies, 12,000. That was just at my request. I'm concerned with the equipment. We had one motor that was damaged due to lack of maintenance. And in the event something happens, I want us to be able to
Correct.
say we have the cushion there. If we don't use it, wonderful.
No, I understand that. Your
just in
repair on a
case.
pool is not, I mean, it's never ending,
Yeah, it's-
so.
those engines are just, we need to be cared of.
Yep, I agree. Any other questions, council? We shopped chemicals. Did we shop chemicals? I know we talked
Early
about.
on, I believe the prior facility director did, yes.
We did.
And the company we use, if I'm not mistaken, is from Corpus Christi.
Okay.
Is there anything of maybe considering the chemicals and purchasing with the companies that the other are, what is it? Who else had
Talking about buying
like a
water.
large,
Water.
the water, with water and their chemicals? Maybe like purchasing, like collaborating our resources.
With the water department where they
I
order
think they
their
said they
chemicals
had
from.
different
I
chemicals
see.
that they wouldn't use. There was something
what
that they
you mean.
said.
But
It's worth a
yes,
conversation
you
with.
do
Company-
use different
okay,
chemicals,
gotcha.
but that doesn't mean the
The same
company doesn't
company might-
provide those
Right, okay,
chemicals.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's where you're.
And maybe, yes, that's where I'm going.
So we can
Collaborating
get
those
with Mr.
resources to
Duarte.
get a better price, instead of you going with one vendor and they're another vendor, you know.
Because
Yeah.
currently we have 2 vendors for.
What is the name of our primary, the one?
Progressive.
Progressive. Progressive helped set up the pool and.
Yeah, they're very knowledgeable on it. They gave.
However,
the
I will speak
previous,
to Mr. Duarte and see
the
about
previous
that.
manager the rundown.
Talk to
of how
their
to
vendor
operate.
and see what they
Yeah.
have. Maybe it's not
is-
feasible.
And the
but-
other one we use is Valley Solvents. Those are our 2.
Because our chemicals are, of course, chlorine and hydrochloric acid, and is there one more?
Cyanuric acid, which
Cyanuric
helps to.
But they don't
Could
do
be
it.
different.
You do. Who does the chemicals? You do it.
I'm the certified pool.
Okay.
operator.
Piece of
I'm the
surface. And then we have a machine that actually,
There's chlorinators. It's all automatically fed.
So like Miss Miranda saying, if another company has the same chemicals less,
if they
then you
have
have
a
no
better deal,
problem
they
being
will
able
let-
to.
they'll look into that.
Yeah.
Okay,
But the staff does the legwork into that, and then the
Right.
machines take care of the machine.
Correct.
Just
what
the
it needs to
purchase of
provide.
them.
Okay.
We might save money there.
And Progressive is on buy board, so we can always use that route and try to shop
Okay.
it out a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on materials and supplies, council? No? Okay, purchase property services. Gas and electricity.
That is high. That's
Yes, ma'am.
very high.
It is. Our pump room, I mean, we had art downstairs, but that room alone uses an incredible amount of voltage to run those machines and engines. It's impressive for any of you who have not been out there. I'd invite you to go and we'll give you a tour of that room. It's super impressive. But once you see that and the voltage that that's using, you'll understand why that's very high. Now, one thing somebody had in the years past had made a mention of the lights for the roadway and the LED light in the parking lot. And I think we had gotten just 1 meter bill for just the parking lot lighting, and that was only $84 or $60. It wasn't very expensive. So the lighting out there, because of the advancements and the technology, what they used out there, is saving us money. But yeah, the downstairs room is pulling a lot of electricity.
4,500 a month.
Really and truly, yeah. There's a lot of the facility is very, again, we can even show you, he can show you the computer system that controls the heating and the air. It's super
Who's
sophisticated.
our supplier, our electrical supplier?
Jexa? Gexa?
It's Jackson.
Gexa.
But
But we
explain
did
these.
get the new contract, TCAP,
Mm-hmm.
we did sign a contract and then they usually find a provider, for us that'll offer us and give us that,
Better rate.
Better rate.
And like I mentioned earlier in the workshops, you know, the wastewater, water plant, and natatorium are the ones that are gonna have those high electricity.
Because of the
bills
pumps.
Because of the
Mhm.
pumps, yeah.
But these numbers are a little strange.
And I-
You adopted 60,000
Amended 90.
and then you amended 90,000, and then you revised it to 88,000, and this 2018 request is 54, so
So-
why such a
What happened
With
fluctuation?
the savings.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
The savings that we
The
got?
54 is with the savings.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
an,
Yes,
thank you.
and the entire 2018 budget will reflect that
Mhm.
savings.
Okay, great, thank you.
And then also in that line item is, of course, the propane.
Yeah. Have
Yeah,
we
the-
shopped the propane? I know, Taylor, we had talked about that.
We have a cost plus agreement with Feral Gas currently.
Uh-huh.
That was set up by the previous person as the aquatic facility manager. So our price doesn't go up or down with that price plus, but I don't know how much he shopped around. I can't answer to that. Can't-
You don't have any documentation of it going through the procurement process?
They might. Not that I've seen visibly though, but there.
Do we know,
is much of
ladies?
that documentation.
The propane, was it, do we go through a procurement process for it?
We usually don't because
Or-
the price
Because of the-
fluctuates.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because
So they
it's not-
can't guarantee the price on the, but you can price it on a monthly basis or
Mhm.
something. And I would need to review that agreement. I don't know, sometimes they'll give you the base rate or something and then just the cost per MMBTUs or however they sell it, then that price changes.
And we will look at that, Roland, because I know the prior manager had mentioned something to that effect, that deal was in place. So we can look at that agreement.
Because when you're consistent in your consumption, you know, normally companies like this, because they know that you're a sure deal, and obviously this is a sure deal, they'll work with you on cost.
Right.
And that goes with everything, electricity, phones.
Mhm.
So we can't, those are little avenues that I look at.
Sure.
As we can't just say, oh, we think, because that could save us
Yes.
thousands of dollars.
I don't know, is this one where they come and refill it regardless?
No,
it's
only
one of
when
those
called.
You call them?
When
Yeah.
you're,
For instance, this operating cycle, we've only had to utilize them one time. That was in June.
And that was right after the heater got repaired, so that we did a small order so that we could see
Mhm.
and test it and say, hey, it works.
Killed half of one tank, I believe.
So
Okay.
that budget number was based on, you know, when we were actually in operation. It was
Mhm.
about every 2 weeks that they were going out there to fill the tanks.
Mhm.
And what we estimated is about 7 months worth of usage. And I just wanted to be, especially since we're considering
Right.
doing-
Different operation.
Because
Throughout
it
the
didn't
year
go into the
operation.
winter season, did it? It did
Exactly.
not,
It
correct?
went into, what,
Just
December,
December.
so we didn't do January, February, March. It's still kind of.
What, do you have that number that it was before?
Well, I have the raw numbers here if you want to write them down.
Mm-hmm.
excuse me,
All right, so 1806. And if you don't mind, I'll just round.
Okay.
On another amount, 2273, 1793, 1889. Let me find. There's two more. 1798 and 1894. Those were the
monthlies.
Those were the costs from October of 2016 to December of 2016.
$11,453. Mm-hmm.
So averaging 11,000.
And my understanding is the propane's only needed in the winter. Is that correct?
Yes, in the summer we don't use any of the propane.
Right.
Thing
And
we
that's what
run
concerns
into-
me.
Yeah, do we
That,
need to
because
look at that?
we never went
Yeah.
into cold and
The
open.
other thing we ran into last year was the temperature of the water
Mhm.
being kept at a higher than needed
Okay,
temperature.
okay.
He's done an excellent job of keeping it at just what it is.
Okay.
What is safety requirement, not
Right.
going
Yeah, the
above
heater's
that.
not even turned on
The
currently.
prior operator was
Okay.
running it warmer,
Okay.
and that was just really killing us.
Okay.
Because it requires, 4.7 joules to heat
Yeah.
1 degree Celsius of water, and it's 480,000 gallons, like I said earlier. The amount of propane needed to heat that much water, 1 degrees, is substantial.
Right.
So
And to be
should we-
compliant with meats and stuff?
Mhm. That's what I would run it at, is the
Yeah. What degrees is it?
safest possible.
What is that,
Recreation.
71 or
What is the temperature for recreation and the safe temperature? Is it 74?
76, that's what I want to say.
Okay. 76.
Okay.
74, 76, I think it's in that range, if I'm not mistaken. I wouldn't quote me on that exactly, but I think it's in that range.
That sounds right. Because I know for athletics, it can be reduced somewhat, and I think 74 is the low, but 76 is the optimum.
In the prior season, I'd seen it run at 78 to 80.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
wasting too much. Okay, so we almost doubled.
And again, he's been doing a much better job at maintaining that temperature at what it needs to be, and we'll monitor in the winter. The thing that's great about that facility is even in the winter months, we'd still have to go in there and maintain, obviously. Even when it was cold outside, indoors was still very lukewarm because
Right.
it traps the heat, and then you have the glass above, so that's going to help us a lot. Assuming weather's not out of the ordinary this winter, we should be okay.
again, it's hard to say what these numbers are because of the adjusted temperatures of last year and not having a full season of it. It's
Correct.
hard to project. It's one of those things, we need an actual full time of it to say. this
And
is
that's
what
my
the
goal
price
here
will
is
be.
so that we don't
That's
have
the
to
issue that we're having to-
transfer or anything. We want it to
We'll
be
have to come up to
sufficient
you
on
in
its
the
own
quarter to do
budget.
amendments. They've done a fantastic
Yeah.
job of
Yeah.
getting to where we're gonna need to be for the year.
And Taylor and I had talked about it, and he's like, well, 5 to 6 months of cold weather, so let's do 7 just to kind of make absolutely sure we're not gonna have to come back to you and ask for a budget.
Right.
I mean, in South Texas, it's still in the 90s in December. So
Yeah.
really, we're looking at January, February probably being the most challenging, if at all. We'll keep you posted.
I just want to make sure that when we are hosting these meets that we're not going, oh my gosh, it's not the right temperature, and then we lose a meet, and then we get that reputation because we didn't prepare. And I just want to make sure that we have
We
that
just-
fun there.
We need to start being more consistent with the operational aspect of
Very consistent.
our multi-use center.
And as y'all mentioned, if we're able to recoup some of the propane costs from some of these other swim teams and so forth, that's gonna help quite a
Yeah,
bit.
and see, that's where I'm saying that's a huge one for me, that
Mhm.
we do, and it's just called an off-season fee, that they understand that because it's not during normal season for pools, that there's gonna be a little added fee, and that we collect from people using it. Okay, council? Any other quick, because that's a big one, Taylor, right
So
there.
just kind of
so-
figuring out how do we meet that objective?
The
Right.
propane, or the cutting the cost.
Well,
increasing
or
our overhead.
recuperating it from the
It's
other, yeah, it's,
deciding what is not bleeding the schools dry and what's fair and what keeps
Yeah,
us
that's-
from.
that's what I'm saying,
going into a hole.
it's a,
Because it'll be a give and take, but we have to
It's something that.
get compensated for it.
You have to kind of figure out how do you do that?
Naturally, the more teams you have,
The less.
Yeah.
Mhm. Which will be difficult to foresee the future. But maybe looking at what you've requested for that part, I don't know. That's operational, hun.
It is.
Okay, other purchase property. Okay. Insurance communications. Licenses. Okay, council, any questions on that?
I have a question. Joshua, y'all took the copier over there for what?
For that large swim meet, they needed to print heat sheets and other things. It needed a good quality printer. So we sent that one out there. We're gonna be doing a switch with another printer that's not being used here, and that other one that's there we'll bring back
Or
here.
for flyers or anything of that nature, that the only two printers we have out there are black and white printers.
Yeah,
If
and
you
last
need
year,
one color.
we ended up printing most flyers here, so them having their own
Correct.
multi-function machine was better, and they won't have to pay for it, other than
License-
just supplies, of course.
License and certifications, Taylor, is that for you to get, continue your licenses?
Yes, to get WSI and Red Cross certified so that we can offer lifeguard classes there, things like that. I'm in talks with the Red Cross rep to have a meeting with her in the upcoming week.
And do they come and do it here, or do you need
They
to
would do it at our
travel?
facility.
So you don't need any,
Yeah,
I noticed you didn't put any
we could-
travel
we could bring in,
expense.
we could bring in a trainer to train not only me, but other people that would be interested in it, to get Red Cross certified to teach lifeguard classes and BWSI and things like
Good
that.
come here.
And I'm discussing that with her in the next week.
And your
So-
CPO was online, correct?
CPO was online for the most part, yes.
So no
The
travel?
test- There was one test, but.
I'm just
Yeah.
So
checking.
you're doing additional than what you have been doing, I guess? Because we've gone from $54 to $1,000.
And yet with no travel expense
On
put in.
the,
It's on line item 5621.
They have mentioned staff licensing for
over here,
CPR.
sorry.
Oh, the CPR treatments?
Regular license
Yeah.
information.
From 54 to 1,000.
Mhm.
And I believe just to have an additional CPO, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Mhm. Yes, the additional CPO class is approximately $200. And then among
Well,
the
this
other
also,
certifications.
yeah, this fiscal year, we'll have to transition and get someone else
Transition
certified.
somebody else, because
Mhm.
with me, the possibility of medical school and things like that.
Okay.
Well, and that would be good so that we have other people that can do the
Yes,
job.
yes.
I think
Yes.
that's proactive
More importantly,
and
that's what is
necessary.
there
Yeah.
to have a second person.
And I think that's necessary, because
But
right now
I'm
it's
I'm
one.
asking, I just want to make sure that this doesn't involve
Um,
any travel whatsoever, because
No.
we don't have any in
We'll,
there.
we'll make sure, as far as I know, there's none
Okay.
currently, but.
Because I know with the prior director, a lot of them came to him and did the certifications here, and then the CPO also had done online, so we'll make sure, but if something does need to be moved, we'll keep you abreast of that.
Take it out of licenses and certifications. What's registration and training? What are we registering for? That sounded like the other one.
That's where he has the
License.
training for the CPO, WSI, Red Cross, and other certifications.
Well, you just said that
With
was
that
under licenses and certifications.
Is the
For
license-
1,000?
Does the licenses
was
fall
staff
under
license.
the?
The 1,000 was staff license.
Oh, you know what, the other part of the
CPR.
licenses is, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
can
the
we
umbrella
restart
license.
then?
Umbrella license for the movie.
For
picture
movie night.
license.
Okay.
That's those.
Yeah, sorry.
That's
The
where
license.
that
Okay, tell me
license
again,
is.
licenses and certifications
Yes.
accounts for,
Apologies.
okay,
The umbrella license for the movies.
umbrella license for
That's
movies.
considered, I think, 600 to 700 of it.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
and we gotta do that yearly?
It's
or-
annual, yes.
Annual?
We'll be due here pretty soon.
Yes. I think it'll be due.
We need to do a few of them,
Yeah.
a few movies.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, tell me again, registration and training is the Red Cross and,
That was his other things, the CPO and the Red Cross and
Okay.
And the Red Cross certifications, from what I gather, when I talked to our Red Cross rep, there'd be minimal charges. Although it'd be like a $35 class plus just paying the trainer to come. So whatever that would be.
would y'all be able to train after you have that? So then you can do classes?
We'd be able to offer first aid,
Awesome.
CPR, AED.
That's additional revenue for
Yes,
Additional revenue for us.
absolutely.
That's something I've been
That's
proactive
the
about with her.
Yes.
Absolutely, very good. And that could be done in the cold months.
Yes.
Mhm. Very good.
and I could train additional city staff as well.
Very good.
Or offer trainings
And offer training to the
to
public.
other,
yeah.
other.
Private
Schools
entities,
and-
things
Yeah,
like that.
other
That's the goal
entities.
and the hope.
And have them come in, other
Absolutely.
cities come in and do the trainings down here.
2-day trainings,
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 days.
that'd be great, yes, yeah.
Okay, council, any other questions on multi-use? And we come to that number that we want to
I
punch
just,
up.
I don't know where we're at with this, Josh. What's y'all's thoughts on the concession stand?
That's just what I was gonna ask.
What have
That
y'all
is-
decided
that's,
to do with that? And then there was some talk
Originally-
about having a little gift shop also.
We had discussed opening up for bids and proposals for private entities to come in and run a concession area. I spoke with 2 different private entities. I asked for proposals by a certain date. Only one of them got back to me. I haven't had any contact since then, but the one entity that got back, all they were offering was pizza. It was just one thing. It wasn't really a concession stand, and they weren't going to be there. They would leave them in hot boxes for us. So it's not really a
No.
glorified concession stand.
Yeah.
And did you all actually draft up the proposal or
I had
something?
them present proposals to me. I showed them facilities and what they would want to offer, what they would, if they would want to do like a monthly payment of it, or if they want to have a proceeds type thing.
What kind of people did you reach out to? What kind of
Um,
entities or what?
I had a snow cone person that came and said that they would do the entire concession stand. They do, hot dogs, nachos, things like that. They never got back with me after that. And then pizza company.
And last year we had a sandwich company too,
Yeah.
and then another local snow cone hot dog company as well. But same things, didn't agree to whatever arrangements were being made at that time, whether it's a percentage of profits or a certain amount of rent. One thing or another didn't happen. So then towards the end of last season, we did our own concession, and we bought those supplies, and it essentially broke
How
even.
did that work out? It broke
It essentially
even?
broke
Even with
Now, it
staff?
was successful with movie nights. The combination of both, then it made money. But
And who
aside from
worked
that,
it?
essentially-
Lifeguards worked it?
The
or-
cashier,
Cashier worked it.
yeah.
Joshua, what would y'all do? Rent out that room to the,
We'd rent out like half of the room. We'd
Yeah.
use part of it for our cashier, and then the other half in the sinks, they'd use our power. It is ready for everything. It's ready for an ice machine. It just, it has the hookups, if I'm not mistaken, too, for like a small oven and things of that nature.
And
It's just movie theater concession is kind of what it's made for, but it does have the sink and it's up to compliance.
okay, the money would go to the
Back to
person?
it would go to the person, and then whatever payment arrangements we make, that
Monthly.
revenue would come back to the Fund 80, the natatorium.
Last year they did have 2 cashiers,
Mhm.
so just in case y'all think about that, and so maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I
to rent
asked.
it to-
Right, especially if we're doing concession and window.
If we go that route, yes, we'll ask for extra
Ask
staff.
for extra staff.
And,
What was the cost that you were proposing to, like, say I'm the snow cone person and you called me, and what did you tell me, like, how much would it cost me to go and,
I never set them
You
a price.
didn't?
I asked them
Okay.
to give me a proposal,
year.
and that I would go before
okay.
So we didn't
superiors
but last year,
discuss
we
it.
had to discuss some pricing and.
Put one together. We
Yeah, we have to
actually
put an
need to put a
RFP
proposal
together.
ourselves together of what
And-
we're asking for,
And what we're expecting and so forth,
Yeah.
and then.
what we expect, insurance.
Because
Right,
we
right.
want
Those kind of
somebody who's
things.
gonna sell the nachos and the hot dogs, like
Yes.
you're saying, not
The
just
o-
pizza.
The other thing, maybe call around and see what other natatoriums, what other cities do with their concession stands.
Or how
We
about
visited and
schools?
FAR, they'll do, again, like nachos and chips and pickles and all that, and they have their staff run those.
Staff.
Or how about schools, reaching out to schools? They're always looking at fundraisers and stuff like that. Perhaps, and here again, I boast about our superintendent. She, I'm sure, it's something that you
I've
might.
also talked to the Booster Club about it. There was another entity I had talked to about it, but it's something that
Oh, and then back in my day, the high school had DECA. If something like that's
Yeah.
still alive, then
Yeah, they
perhaps
are.
those students can
All those
come.
special groups, or even like elementary schools, that they're always doing their little fundraisers. That might be a fundraiser approach that we get a small percent or something.
Percentage
And
or
it's us working with schools, uniting being one Alice. I think that would be a
Have we
nice.
also entertained the idea of the naming rights of someone such as Subway or Pizza Hut or
Whataburger.
Whataburger, McDonald's in
We're not
there.
against that at all.
That,
because it,
I mean, in that, some.
it brings in revenue for us, and also it takes a load off
Exactly.
of us.
Some studies,
Staffing and things like
Right.
that.
some research studies that I've looked at actually recommend that you reach out to chain
And we've
companies.
actually had discussed this prior to
Okay.
that.
Very
Yeah,
good.
we had discussed the retail as well, and last year, that had come up with the fire manager and I, and
Yeah.
some things were tested, shirts and hats that were unsuccessful, but, again, worth always revisiting and looking at, let's make the small upfront expense and, or investment, and then see what happens,
How it
and test
works.
it. You don't know to, you know, we've had small tests that were not successful, but that's not to say if we. look at
However, our
different
retail
avenues.
wouldn't focus on those shirts and hats thing. It would be more, less of a want, more of a need, like sunscreen, towels, goggles, more things of that
Yeah.
nature related to a pool versus
Yeah,
Correct.
retail
versus
clothing
it
items.
being.
We actually
like the
had,
aquarium.
you know, some of the, I mean, there was prime example, the two ladies that were there selling,
Yes.
I mean, they were selling towels and goggles and things that sometimes become a necessity for the consumer, and we have it there available.
So again, that investment is worth looking into for that because
Yes.
off and things like that are huge. People asking for sunscreen, so
And we do have, one thing that we do have as a resale item, it's the water diapers. And
Mhm.
we get the question a lot, do y'all have water diapers?
Even
yet?
like towels.
The
We don't,
Towels,
like a
it-
towel
it's
rental.
Towel, sunscreen, goggles. things like
Yeah,
that. So
all
things
the
that you-
essentials.
Oh, I forgot that at home, but I need it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know we don't have a washer and dryer, right?
no. If we did towels, it'd be just sale.
So,
To sell.
because that's a big revenue at some pools where they rent towels because they're yours, and you can buy a full towel for a quarter as an entity like ours, and then you rent them for $2, and you have a commercial grade washer. And I know we don't have the funds, but maybe at one point we
Right.
could look into that.
It's just the
Get
issue
more
with that one is the walking away with the towel.
And keeping up who's renting
Yeah,
what.
who's renting
Yeah,
the
but you've
towel.
already paid for the towel if it's a quarter, and they paid you $2.
Yeah, it just, you put more work into figuring out. I think just
Work
an
is
actual.
work. Work is work
an
when we're trying to
actual,
close up $270,000.
Actual gift shop probably will generate more.
Okay.
You'll probably need to look.
Who cleans the pool, the upkeep the pool,
Of the pool.
Upkeep of the pool, that'd be me.
the whole, I'm sorry, the whole
Use,
natatorium?
multi-complex.
The cleaning and things like the cleaning is done by the guards and and the upkeep of like the maintenance of the chemicals, the machines, things like that relies on me.
And parks will help on the weekends with trash and if there's mopping or whatever needs done. When I was covering, I was there mopping and cleaning restrooms and showers too. So everybody does their part, all the staff, from me down to the lifeguards and parks
As it should be.
assists. We have it on call anyway, so that's already in the budget. It's not an extra.
Joshua, do you have problems with the lifeguards wanting to do their chores?
Well, like any kids, and like when I worked at Handy Andy and I was working with some other younger folks, some don't want to, but they have to.
That's a
So,
part of their job.
Yeah, they don't, but they do. And there's other lifeguards, you'd be very impressed with how mature they are at getting the younger ones to do their job, to do the job, so.
And for a lot
you
of
see
them, this is their
mentorship
first
there.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is, because it's their first job, and there's like, I don't want to clean this, because we do have problems with some unsightly things sometimes. But they still get it done.
Like with any employee, they're gonna grovel about it a little bit, but they do it, and
do it, yeah.
they know it's their job at the end of the day, and they get it done.
They
Yeah,
have
that-
job requirements, I guess, or job
it's part of
duties.
their job
and-
It's in their job description.
It is.
Yeah.
And particularly this cycle, we put that in because we didn't want to expense cleaning in any other way. So we wanted to do it staff-wise, so they all knew from the
Correct.
get-go, this is something you need to do.
Well,
And they do the mopping and all that?
and this is maybe
The
something we need to
mopping,
revisit, and it's just a matter of
Bathroom floors, the
Um,
staff, things like that, they do it all.
maybe taking one of these.
But, and we have, excuse me, but we have the janitorial, library, police department, training center. Of course, golf course does their own cleaning, but perhaps we can look into with janitorial having a route that takes it out there, especially on weekends, and work something out scheduling wise there.
Takes
That's
what out
no
there?
additional burden on the city. We just make a schedule change.
Takes what out there?
A custodian. have a custodian there, like on the weekends, and we just flex their schedule during the week here. We have some flexibility to do that.
I don't know,
And-
you've got 20 employees, and I think if you schedule it right and they know
Sure.
exactly, because we don't want to go into overtime
Sure,
due to
of course.
We have
janitorial
a
when you
cleaning
have 20
checklist.
employees in your department.
But for
And there's a
major
cleaning
events, we
checklist
could-
every day printed out.
That's it.
It's a randomized list.
And it
You-
is
you
what
never
it
know what
is.
you're gonna get the next day.
That's right.
And you have
Yeah,
that.
some
That's your
days are
duty.
smooth and other
Yeah.
days it's,
I mean, I know like for the big, like the swim meet, when our guy was out there, he was amazing, he did, you know, and because the lifeguards were completely busy, that's
but
understandable.
that's what I mean, yeah, when there's something like that,
Yeah.
we'll send. and
But
it's
not on
no
a day,
additional
I think
burden.
lifeguards need to do their part as employees, because they're employees now, and it's time to be a
And,
responsible employee.
I don't see where that has changed. Lifeguards in their job description, as I remember, included
Yeah,
cleaning
even,
duties.
even the
Nothing's
Boys
changed
and Girls
about
Club in
Yeah,
Anderson.
that's what he said, that they,
And,
that's what they have.
but you said recently you added that, the cleaning.
Well,
It's
because
in their job description.
it's in
And-
the
and
job
it's-
that's always
it's-
been in the job
It's included
description.
in the all duties otherwise.
But it was in the
assigned,
job
but-
description unless it was changed again.
I mean, it falls under the all duties otherwise, but we wanted a clear cut description that says, hey, one of your
And
duties
the
is
other thing is, there used to be a classification for a head lifeguard.
classification.
Yeah.
There,
We get rid of that?
We can't afford that.
it's
But
not
you can't-
budgeted. However, there are multiple guards that,
leads.
that I have that they know they are. If I had to step away for a second, that's who's in charge.
Again, that's
So
something to
that they're
think about,
facilitated.
because that person can certainly help you with managing and making
And
sure
there
these
has been.
cleaning duties are getting done.
There is, and even.
But you mean on paper, make sure we classify it?
Well, I would explore that, because you cannot,
Okay. No, I mean,
that's an
that's
HR
absolutely-
issue.
Yeah, we can absolutely, but it's just, I don't think it's much change, if anything, so we can just make sure it's here, that way it's on paper, you are the lead guard or whatnot.
Who is responsible? There was a position with a job description
Okay.
for a head lifeguard who helped with some of the managerial duties, assisted the manager with those. Because you get
And
into
we have
HR
that
issues,
currently, it's
but
just
you
the-
get
it's
into
just the
HR issues
classification.
when you assign assistant manager duties to someone who is not classified to do that. You have to talk to HR about that.
Any more questions?
Taylor, are you considered a pool manager on this, if you go to page 159?
This would be the aquatic facility manager, I think we
Facility
just,
manager, I think
that's
it's a
mistyped.
mistype, yeah.
Okay, one at a time. So you're not pool manager.
I'm the aquatics
Aquatic
facility
facility.
manager.
Aquatics facility manager. Okay. And this, who's pool manager, or do we have?
We don't have.
That's
That's
his
you.
position.
That's Taylor.
I'll just change the wording.
Okay. And salary stays the same? This is salary?
Yes, that's his salary.
Okay.
Exempt? Exempt?
He's in,
salary, yeah.
he is, yes.
Did we lose lifeguards now that school started?
Yes, ma'am.
We've lost, I know of two automatically, or three to automatically college. I'm in the process of restaffing them out of the pool of applicants we have currently. If we see that we're gonna need more out of that pool, we'll reopen the requisition for the job posting. So we're in the current process of restaffing. I know I got one sent to drug and alcohol today. That would be a new hire. But she has previous experience, so. It's what I'm in the process of. However, it's one of those things I have to turn in status forms in order to, and they have to be processed before I can do the next hire, because I was
And
tapped
that
out
means
at
that
the
someone has to
15.
be terminated in the system for him to be able to hire a new one.
Right, right.
Because I had tapped out at that 15, so.
But this way you can keep up with them better now that you know that it's open
Mhm.
and it is what it is. There's not this startup again, you know that when you lose one, we can
Yeah.
get another. Because that's the hard part of starting over.
Absolutely. That was the challenge we had last season as well.
Mhm. Okay. So requested total is 270,798 minus the 5,000, right? We remove that.
5,000 and-
And then actually we're adjusting,
Yes, we're
the
adding,
season
We're
for
adding-
The lifeguard.
we're adding
Two lifeguards.
two more lifeguards.
And then
Did
possibly
we come up
one-
with an
possibly one
approximate?
I
additional
don't have
cashier.
an amount just yet, but I will work on that after this meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll need to change the cashier and then possibly
Change
add
the
another.
cashier to year round and then add 2 more
Okay.
lifeguards.
So we're gonna see an increase in that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so we need to be real creative.
We're gonna see an increase in the fees as well, right? You're
And
said,
revenues.
And the revenues.
Any other questions, council? No? Okay, anything to add, Taylor?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
That's it. Very good, Josh.
All right, thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a nice day. Okay, Mr. Ramos, that's
As far as I can tell, I think it's all.
Vanessa, is that,
Yeah, I was kind of marking off on my books.
right? We're already, whew,
Yeah. Yeah.
5 days.
So we'll go back and revise the numbers and plug in the new tax rate and so forth, and then come back with something a little.
And then the real work
Yeah,
starts.
something. And then we'll look at the revenues, have them come up with a new
Yeah.
fee structure.
Fee structures need to be plugged in as
We'll
well.
visit that also.
Okay,
And that's probably where we'll plug in, and then you guys give us what revenue it'll generate and stuff like that as we're discussing the fees.
okay, council, if there's nothing else on budget, the time is now 2:52, and this budget workshop is finally adjourned. Thank you. Oh, I didn't take a motion. I'll introduce.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.